And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse for a Sunday afternoon of thoroughbred action. Jim Miller and Emily Gullikson up here in our mezzanine level studio on a nice Sunday afternoon. Temperatures in the 80s, sunny skies. The one redundant thing has been fast and firm time and again lately, which is great. Couple of turf races. It's a great card from top to bottom today.
It is. There's a few scratches that change things around, but still a really competitive card throughout. And you mentioned the turf as being firm, and we have the rail. This is what, the last day?
Last day of the meet at 20 feet, yep.
Yeah, and so follow those inside paths. I think they've been favorable, a little bit tougher, and then it's something to also consider as far as trip notes going into last week on the rail moves. Maybe you can upgrade and downgrade some horses as well.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. We have a couple of big turf stakes coming up over the next 4 weeks. In 2 weeks, we have the Robert F. Carey Memorial on the grass. Then I'm wearing the Hawthorne Derby t-shirt because this is a really good race to get back on the calendar that we brought back a couple of years ago. It provided some pretty solid winners there too. Speaking Scout, a horse a couple of years ago, that's been very good.
Yeah, the Grand Motion horse, that's right.
Yeah, it should line up to be a really solid race again, especially for the fact that you have not a whole lot of turf right now in the Midwest either.
No, and our turf course is awesome. It's played fair, it's been strong. The horse, they're getting over it. We've got a lot of horses here that have their form on the turf, and then some trainers that have been excelling on it. Chris Block.
Yeah, he's had a great meet.
Yeah.
He's had a great meet. He has some live horses on the turf today, but yes, overall, very solid card from top to bottom. Let's jump into the card. Take a look at this 9-race card. A reminder, we'll have slightly shortened post rates today due to the warmer temperatures. Just want to keep those horses safe in the paddock and out of the heat for as long as possible, along with our riders and all of our other workers out there on the racetrack. But in the opener, maiden 2-year-olds, you mentioned this to me probably about 6 weeks.
You're able to see everything going on, being able to get a look at the way they're warming up, especially with the 2-year-olds in a race like the opener today where you have 4 first-time starters and capable barns and a couple horses that have run in the past. It really helps out the player to be able to look at them, look at the board, try to see if some of those first-time starters are alive based on the action, and it kicks off the early pick 5.
Kicks off the early pick 5, starts the place pick 8. Of course, 12% win play show on all of our wagers here at Hawthorne, and it's another one of those things too that when you have this extra time, they can kind of space out their time for when do we get to the paddock. If we want to get there a little bit earlier, we can. Just kind of set up their routine a little bit better. So definitely does work well for these juvenile horses. But here in the opener, 4 to 5 right now in the 6 Baby Boat. We talked about a lot of these races with Steve Simonovich this morning online, if anybody wants to take a look at that on his YouTube channel as well. But this one debuts, was entered in a turf race a couple of days ago, but comes back here in this spot today. I think they're still sitting in a pretty good spot.
And the public might think so as well, as 4 to 5. And Jimmy DeVito sent out some very live first-time starters as of late. Had a first-time starter that was training here at Hawthorne that won at Kentucky Downs, and then another one that won last week at Churchill called Big Boat. And I tried to look at some of the works and see if they match up. And there's a couple dates and times that are pretty comparable. And this one looks like they could be very live in here. And maybe Scratch just wanted a little bit more ground. We'll have the 5.5 here today, but seems very well prepared. I'm interested in getting a look at him in the paddock.
Yeah, I want to get a look at him in the paddock for sure. A couple others I want to see. One note, the 4, so they got a little head start there. Michelle Boyce with a couple. We've talked about how good Michelle Boyce has been over the course of the meet too. Yes, and it's one of those where you look and you say, okay, look at some of these names, but yet this horse right now at least sits at 4 to 5. I'll be curious to see if the price is that way when we come back in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the 4 as well, because I didn't have that one on my radar. Number 4 marked my memory, but currently the second choice 5 to 1, so getting a little bit of wagering support.
Right, and nothing that jumps off the page on the works by any means, but Joel Byrne, a very good trainer, very horses in very capable hands there as well in the opener. Race 2 today, $10,000 claimers in this spot. We go a mile and a 16th in the second. You get a field of 7 to line up. I'm going to be curious to see kind of what the betting is in here. Code Runner should take action. Bialia, Cool Quartet. I took a little shot at Stronger Together in a race that doesn't have a whole lot of pace. We talked about the plot. I look at the plot right there, and nobody's really seemingly committed to the front end.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, the plots and the notes for the past 3 run lines are free every day on the Hawthorne website. And today's race shape, it's one of those tricky ones because in terms of run style, you really only have that one E-runner. Remember the main, but looking at surface distance, he doesn't even look like he's fast enough to get the lead with some of the others in here, like Stronger Together, like number 7, Cool Quartet, if they decide to get to the lead. So it could turn into a rider's race and definitely opens the door for somebody to steal it. And Stronger Together's run a lot of really fast races in the past. And even this current form cycle, after you mentioned it, I went back through and gave this one a look just to see what I missed. And I definitely did, because he's moving forward with each race. Maybe the distance is a test, but if you're able to get that pace scenario, can definitely overcome. Number 4, Code Runner, I think is very logical.
Yep.
1 at this level, 2 back, that July 7th race. And then number 2, Jeff the Lion, just missed, ran a huge race, closing just to finish in that tight photo.
Another voice runner that's been very good throughout the course. I mean, yeah, stronger together. We'll see. Again, you're going to probably need an opening quarter in 24 and change, a half and close to 49 to pull it off, but anything can happen in that spot with nobody really committed to the front. Race 3 today, $10,000 maiden claimers in the third. We go 1 mile and 70 yards. Take out the 2 draftsmen in here. This is a weird race too, because a couple of the horses that'll take a lot of action are each 0 for 13 and Tigger Attack and Money Agent, but they've been facing tougher company as well. Captain's Flag claimed out of the last couple. I took a shot with my last Escapade on the inside, but really I don't think you're going to go wrong with any of the horses in this field.
I like the idea in my last Escapade, that first start in for the maiden claiming tag, racing into form, improving with each start. Now it gets the drop and the added ground. It's just kind of one of those old school handicapping, training type moves that you like to see, that you really don't see that often anymore, but when you see it, it's like, I can definitely respect. As far as number 5, Money Agent, run competitive races under a similar race par. Those lower maiden claiming races, similar race par to today. Their second start off the layoff, getting a rider change, getting in very light, could be very live mount here. Not the most ideal trip last out, so it can definitely improve. Yeah,
it could improve, and we know Captain's Flag is going to take money just off the fact that this horse was 4 to 5 and even money in those last 2 starts. I don't think there's any major standout though in here.
Yeah, I'm a little against that horse in here.
Too.
He's coming off the 2 straight losses, a heavy favorite. It's closer to a lateral move. Distance change, quick turnaround.
Yeah, chance for an upset for sure in that race. All right, race 4, a couple of scratches. Take out the 3. Boise, take out the 6. Metal Effect leaves you with a field of 5 to line up in this spot. And you look at this field, it changed a little bit because Boise was in definitely with a shot who could show some speed. That one comes out, maybe moves Kozan's Success up a little bit. Can't Steal My Thunder is a horse we talked about this morning who has been facing much tougher. I think 2 Cookie Rule's been knocking on the door for a victory as well. So again, if Kozan's Success takes some action, there are some alternative choices in here.
Yeah, and my alternative was Boise, so it's like back to the drawing board in here. And really, I'm with you. I'd be willing to take on Kozan's Success. I'm not crazy about the distance change for him, and with today's race shape, and even the current form, scratches in the gate last out, that can often be a sign that he's just done a lot of running and maybe not at his peak, which he's going to need to be at his peak in this tough race. Can't Steal My Thunder has been competitive under similar conditions, could get the right trips. It could be that scenario where Kozan's Success goes, 2 Cookie Rule pushes. We've seen those 2 run 1-2 in the past. Number 5, Where the Day Goes, up in the mix, and then Can't Steal My Thunder just sits right behind him, makes first run, could get that trip. Wildwood's Warriors, probably a little bit of an outsider. Speed figure's a little bit slower, but could definitely come down a trip in here.
And you're starting to see lots more mounts for the 10-pound bug, Harold Joseph Ortega, too. So you're starting to see him kind of pick up some experience. It'll be curious to, interesting, too, to just kind of follow along the path of his career there. But yeah, tough race. Can't Steal My Thunder. Last time at that level was claimed and just missed, but a good race there for race number 4. Really good race here for the 5th. This is the final leg of the Turbulent Thinking series. It's a field of 7 to line up. And it's, again, the matchup of Izzy's Monster, Mo Smokin', and Memphis Cash Queen, who they were in a blanket photo in that last out. But a couple other new horses in here kind of changed the complexion of the race. But again, I look at the plot, and it's a whole lot of horses just kind of bunched up right on top of one another.
Yeah, and you're looking at the plot, and it was kind of similar last out, too. And then Mo Smokin' snuck away on the board, and that just kind of made the play, right? Because you look at 3 horses that are very similar, you look at the board, and you're like, okay, 4 to 5. 3 to 1, 9 to 1. This is just basic math. I'm just going to take the longest one. But yeah, it's going to come down to a rider's race once again. I think Mo Smokin' will be assertive. I think number 6, Memphis Cash Queen, being outside, will push a little bit more into the pace. And then Izzy's Monster, who, just noting in that August 18th race, is probably a little bit over the top, not at her peak on the day. And this would be the time to rebound. And since everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but oftentimes the public can be reactionary to where a horse loses a race and it really doesn't look like there's an excuse, but you kind of have to do the digging to find that excuse, and then they jump ship. So then you end up getting, could end 5 to 2.
Right. It won't be 2 to 5 this time.
Yeah, exactly. And so you start getting a little bit of value. Everyone trying to get a little scared, a little bit creative, and then maybe that creates value where even if Izzy's Monster is favored, you think, okay, she should be 4 to 5. Just giving a scenario right now, but a horse that should be 4 to 5 fair odds ends up being 6 to 5, 8 to 5. You end up getting an overlay. Yeah, definitely worth taking a look at what the wagering is going to be in here. Orlando Mojica gave Mo Smokin' a very good ride in that last out too. Went out there on the front, and every time it seemed like
somebody else wanted to catch a breather. He kind of opened up a little bit. And then when they came back, then he opened up a little bit more, had just enough left there at the wire, but really well handled in that last out. And again, should be a very solid race, good competitive race there for the 5th. 6th race, we go to the turf for the first of only 2 on the grass today. 7.5 furlongs on the firm turf course. Maidens in the spot. Scratch the 3 Mashiva and put Olaf Hernandez on the 7. A Bah Humbug in here. Dealman Weep scratched out of a sprint for this spot here. Then you have Daytona Island, who can show speed. Bah Humbug from the Chris Davis barn. Again, it's an interesting race. I think it starts with Dealman Weep, and then you kind of work around that horse.
I would give number 6 Dealman Weep kind of the edge of the local horses that have established form, but not so much that I'd be willing to take too short of a price, because there are the invaders in here. Number 4, Where's the Wine? Number 7, Bah Humbug. And we can even put number 2, Data Island in that mix, because the first 2 starts were out of town. And the thing that we're going to look for are those front wraps on. Now, obviously, we will be able to get a look, I guess, for the late pick 4, but not for the late pick 5, as this is race 6. But something to look for in there. Just kind of keep a little note in your program. But I think, I'm going to upgrade those 3 that are coming into town. Maybe a slight upset, but Dealman Weep still very dangerous.
And like you mentioned, with that rail all the way out, speed has been good. It's been much better. Inside trips have been good. That helps a horse like Daytona Island. Dealman Weep won't be too far out of it. It's going to come down to trip, going to come down to a rider's race there. And again, it's going to come down to value and price as well in race number 6. All right, race 7 today, we scratched the 10. That's Stolich. Had a really tough time making a line on this race. 9 horses in here now, and it's non-winners of 3 or a race on the year. And you look up and down this field, it's just a very competitive bunch here today. I ended up on over-calendared on the inside, just searching for a little bit of a price. I know when we were talking this morning, you came down to the 5 Soviet Standard. Again, the 10-pound bug there, but this type of race where it's worth going after a price.
We had a similar approach. We just landed on different horses. Horses that had some buried form, that have some tactical speed, that look like they have some intent, and could just find the right time and place. And that's kind of the idea with Over-Calendar, who's got some subtle form and trip and has the inside and has some tactical speed. And the same thing with Soviet Standard, and getting the weight break in here sometimes that more than anything just shows intent. Maybe they're going to try to go for the lead, and looking at the plot, it's another one where there's really nobody committed to the lead. Even a horse like number 9, Mr. Frost, who's sitting on the floor, will be out on the racetrack later on, could go out there and try to make the lead from the outside. Comes down to a rider's race, but yeah, I think it's a type of race that getting creative for a price. You have number 4, Maligator, who's probably spotted to win, but often spots the field, a lot of ground, and makes that late run. So a little bit tough to take when they're a short price. The same thing with Imperial Moment, one that definitely fits. I like the stretch out and distance for them in here as well.
Yeah, and something to keep an eye on with Maligator too, because you have so much ground to make up. See how that track plays, because with the warm temps, and we put 6,000 gallons of water down on that track every single race, but you still have to do everything you can to try to just keep the track just as wet as possible. So we'll see what happens there for how the track's playing throughout the course. So we'll have a good idea by that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes without saying that we're always horse first here.
Yep, exactly.
More before anything else.
Exactly. Race number 8 today. This is a really good race as well. Stretch to 2, Ricky Bobby. Field of 9 to line up. $50,000 optional claimers to go a mile and 16th. Because I got off this horse, it's going to win. It's my favorite horse on the grounds. But read the Cliff Notes, ran so well in that last out. Has tried so hard. Should be right there again. Yes, to me, I think this horse can definitely win. I just tried to get off the horse. Maybe they do win in that spot. We'll see.
And then I jumped on, because I've been kind of like, oh, he's just not quite there, never quite good enough. And now I'm like, we're getting to the end of the meet. This horse is in form. Michelle Boyce is winning with everything. Loves this guy. You two could battle for the love fest on Clifford here, but should be able to get the right trip. There's enough early speed with Coney's Coup, No Arbor, horses that have that early speed. Even number 1, Category 10, just might have to get in the mix a little bit with that rail draw, and should be able to set up the right trip for Read the Cliff Notes. This should be his day. But I'm going to use a few others in here. I'm going to use the horse that you're on in number 9, CFE Bullet. I think he made a really strong case there with some intent. And looking back through the connections, as soon as they drop for a tag, these new connections were right back in and have pretty much kept this one protected throughout. And then going back to number 3, Go Emmy. This one was moving forward. He had buried form. He had stronger numbers last out. And 43 to 1. That's when you left me. You were out of town, hanging out with the butter cow, and I almost pulled off the upset there at 43 to 1, but. Just not quite good enough on the day, but maybe could find the right trip and get a little bit of confidence.
It can still be a great pick, even if it doesn't win. And you were all over the horse at a great price there.
I feel like I can remember it was like the exactor was like 93 or something like that. So it still like ends up paying quite good.
Right, and that was the day that James Graham came in to ride Ardenwood and a couple of others as well too. So there was a lot of intent behind that horse in that spot. Like you mentioned, CFV Bullet's the one that I went to in here. This is a horse that ran a really big race in that start two back. And you mentioned Armando Hernandez just keeps having horses at this level. When Read the Cliff Notes lost that last hours to a Hernandez horse and Empire Builder. When he lost by 3/4 earlier than me is to a Hernandez horse in Camp Daddy. He's got another one for this level too. The barn's done so well throughout the course of the meet. Horse definitely figures in the spot. Should be up close, and like you mentioned, with some others that can show speed, just searching for a little bit of a price there with CFV Bullet in the 8th. In the finale, back to the turf, 7.5 on the grass in the last. Take out the 4 ahead of the game. A big scratch here because you lose some of the pace of the race, and you actually lose a lot of the pace. It probably helps Wicked Surprise, maybe Bakaneko in there, but it changes the complexion of the race so much.
Yeah, and I really think that number 1, Coliseo, was going to go regardless. With the rail draw, when Mojica was aboard back at Turfway, they sent and they just got into the clear and said, we know this horse really doesn't like to be headed. Don't give him a chance to kind of get eyebugged by another runner. So I think they're going to send, and maybe that puts some pressure on Wicked Surprise, or at the least puts pressure on Coliseo, who might have pressure to his outside. And number 6, Wicked Surprise, is one that was kind of flying under the radar last out, but took a lot of sneaky money and ran to it, getting the win that day. But maybe that creates a little bit more contentious pace. Rushing the Win also has some early speed. Could look at some of the others. Number 9, Simple Logics, we talked about. Another one that's maybe not the biggest win machine, but try to drop back, save ground, make a late run. If the pace gets hot, definitely has a good late kick. It'd give them a little bit of an edge over River Redemption, but if you are trying to beat a horse up front, maybe you want some coverage. Yeah,
and River Redemption, a good race on the grass, 2 back, and then ran in that race that came off the turf in that last out. Good race, though, for the finale as well. All right, that's how we see the 9 races today on this sunny Sunday afternoon. Again, fast main track, firm turf. We're going to have short and post parades with the warmer temps throughout the course of the day. But let's take a flip back to the opener here and take a look at all of these 2-year-olds in the paddock for race number 1. 5.5 furlongs in this spot. We offer Win Play Show, Exacta Tri Super, Double, Pick 3, Superfecta, start of the Pick 5 and the Place Pick 8. And right now, Emily, still the 6 Baby Boat sitting as our even money favorite. Let's start by taking a look at that one right there on your screen, and you see blinks on for this debut for trainer Jimmy DeVito.
And it could be intent. I've seen some of those other first-time starters this season have shown up with blinkers on first out. Could be a live sign, has a steady series of works, all local. The work here on August 24th, I don't know if you saw that, but on paper, pretty strong half mile and work similar half mile time back on August 9th. So seems very race ready, has a lot of foundation, good spacing of those drills as of late. Should be fit in here. Even money suggests some intent as well. He's
a good looking horse here, this 2-year-old colt here out of the barn of Jimmy DeVito, right now at even money. Now we mentioned the 4, Mark My Memory. It's a horse that didn't show a whole lot in the morning drills, but was taking some action. That continues to be the case right here. Currently 7-2 on the board. Debuts here for trainer Joel Burnt. This one schooled in the paddock on Thursday. That could be a sign, the amount of money on this one early on.
And just getting a look at them real quick before they tucked in there, another one that has blinkers on. I really like what I'm seeing on this horse. I think I actually like the visuals on Mark My Memory better on Baby Boat, and I didn't mind the visuals on Baby Boat. So this one's really catching my eye and taking a lot of public support in the face of an even money runner.
Yeah, this is a horse that I think could definitely be a factor. I picked this horse 3rd in here. Frank Reyes aboard for trainer Joel Burnt. The 1 filly in the race is that one right there. That's the 5 horse. That's a No Tip Tony. David Cohen aboard this runner today for trainer Joel Zawitz. And No Tip Tony just missed on debut. The last couple were okay. Rogue Diamond, a good winner from the Ravelli barn in that last out. You're facing the boys in this spot, but you have a little bit of early speed, and No Tip Tony picks up David Cohen, who's had himself a very good meet as well.
She was a tough read in here. Going back to the debut, made a very positive appearance, looks fine today, then was also very fractious in the gate. The gate crew did the right thing. They backed her out, they checked her out, make sure everything was good, and then, as you mentioned, ran a good race. Maybe has a little bit exposed on class in that August 1st race, and then again on August 22nd. So that was kind of my main concern, is we've sort of seen what she can do. It's just a matter of catching the right group, and I don't know if this is it, because you have all those unknowns and somebody could come out running once again.
Yeah, no way to tell exactly with a lot of the first-timers in here. The 1 debuting for trainer Chris Block is the 2. That's Taunting. Luis Colon aboard at Taunting today. Nice pattern of drills leading in the spot. Very consistent for the works. Most recently, a good half from the gate in 48-3. Block 1 with an older horse on the grass on the first-timer on Thursday as well. But With this one on debut, I'll be curious to see what Taunting shows us today.
Makes a good appearance right now, looks very fit first out. Another one that maybe can handle a little bit more ground than this 5.5 will offer today, but other than that, nothing to knock. Looks, again, very fit, well put together horse.
Yeah, 7-1 on the board on this one. Now, Michelle Boyce has 2 in here. Let's go look first off for the first timer. That's the 3, Frontier Marshall. Frontier Marshall at 13-1. Rachel Slavinsky aboard this one on debut. And Frontier Marshall has some gate drills, and you see 3 gate works out of the last 4 drills. So that's going to be kind of the question and key is, do they want to show speed early on, or were they just still trying to figure it out? But you see the blinkers as well for that debut. But again, Michelle Boyce has been so good all meet long, especially in recent weeks.
And we've seen it sometimes with the first-time starters. I think it's happened twice, where the one that was less fancied ended up coming out running and winning and showing speed. This one looks, maybe it's going to benefit from a race. That's just kind of my initial impression, but I've said that about some of their horses before, and then they come out running. So just given that appearance, the other one is sitting at longer odds.
Yeah, how's that with the 7?
Yeah, number 7, Rumbling, and I didn't think the debut was fine. Again, it's a race where the stablemate ended up winning the race, going back to August 25th in Take It Away. Liza Vance, a very good Larry Ravelli filly, ended up finishing 2nd. Comes back in 3 weeks from that race. Physically looked like a turf horse, so I wonder if that's where we're going to see them end up at the end. But seeing right there, you can see the difference with the 3 Frontier Market has the blinkers on, no blinkers for Rumbling.
Yeah, Bradford Grass for sure for this one, but I agree with you. I think he held his own in that debut as well. Wouldn't surprise me if he puts forth a good effort once again. And then the 1, Sneaky Feet, is the last one in here. 9-1 on this one. Israel Hernandez aboard. Improved in that second start out, sent away at big odds in both of those races. Normally you're like, okay, well, you hate the rail early on, but this one, it really doesn't seem to be one that has to show a ton of speed early either. So I think as long as they get away in good order, they can get into the race.
But that is the question, because he has been off slow in both those races. Looking at the notes, it's slog, slog. Also from the visual standpoint, seems like stretch. So might want even a little bit more ground. So while the rail, I wouldn't hold it against the horse just altogether. Maybe for this one, breaking slow. Might have to do a lot of running again late.
Yeah, good solid field though for the opener to kick off this Sunday card. Again, win, play, show, exact to try, super, pick 3, a double, pick 5, place pick 8, wagering in the first. Good luck to you with your selections. They'll head on a couple minutes here for race 1.
Coming on the track for the Sunday opener, they'll go 5 1/2 furlongs. These are 2-year-olds. Field of 7. No jockey changes 5. No tip Tony carries 2 pounds over the program weight. Win Play Show Exacta Trifecta 6 Baby Boat. Alexi Centeno aboard. And number 7 Rumbling Olaf Hernandez will bring him to the gate. They'll all be there in about 3 minutes. Kick off the Sunday program. The dirt track is fast. Turf is listed as firm. Rail set at 20 feet out on the turf course. Racing fans, those of you across the betting network, and here at Hawthorne, we do thank you for joining us today. From the earlier announcements, the wind has picked up a little bit more of a tailwind in the home stretch. It's up to about 10 miles per hour now. Warm temperatures in the Chicagoland area that will necessitate shortened post parades throughout the day. We have a 9-race program. Dirt track is fast, turf is firm with the rail set at 20 feet out. No carrier pools to report. But we do have the lowest takeout in the nation on Win Play Show wagers is just 12%. The low 8 pick 8 has a low takeout of just 8%. Those track conditions will remain the same throughout the day, as there's no precipitation here in the Chicagoland area planned for a few more days. So the track will be fast, turf is firm today. They're moving towards the gate. 2-year-olds less than a minute away from the first here at Hawthorne. Better hurry. Final call for your first race selections, including rolling doubles, rolling pick threes, the 50-cent pick 5, and the $1 place pick 8. Racing fans are at the starting gate for today's first race. First of 9 on the Sunday program. 2-year-olds now entering the starting gate. Last 2 to go in will be Mark My Memory and Rumbling. Also waiting for Frontier Marshal. Now that one's in. 2 more left to load. Mark My Memory and Rumbling. Waiting for Rumbling. They're all in the gate. They're off. Between horses, No Tip Tony trying for the lead. There goes Mark My Memory towards the inside. Taunting came away well. 4 wide up the backstretch. Baby Boat. Rumbling caught 5 wide up the backstretch. 2.5 back to Sneaky Feet. The early trailer, Frontier Marshal. They have less than a half mile to go as they move into the turn. Mark My Memory leads a neck. No Tip Tony right there. Second. Baby Boat 3 wide. Third. Taunting tucked in along the rail. 4th. Rumbling is 5th. Top 5 are covered by about 4 lengths. Frontier Marshal starts to make a move and switching to the outside. And Sneaky Feet is at the end. They come to the top of the stretch. Here's Baby Boat 3 wide. No Tip Tony between horses coming on. Around the turn, they're in the stretch. Baby Boat up to take the lead. No Tip Tony trying to go with them. Second. Mark My Memory is back to third. Taunting gains ground 4th. On the far outside, Frontier Marshal 5th. They're in deep stretch, and Baby Boat starts to draw clear. The battle's going to be for second as they come to the wire. Baby Boat, a debut winner, an easy winner. Baby Boat won by 7. Taunting was second. Then it was No Tip Tony and Frontier Marshal. In today's first race, 6, Baby Boat finished first. 2, Taunting was second. 5, No Tip Tony third. 3, Frontier Marshal fourth. 6, 2, 5, 3 is posted. It's unofficial. 105.52 the running time. 105.52 the running time. Returning the unofficial winner, 6 Baby Boat. Baby Boat makes a winning debut for owner Double Down Stables Incorporated Richard Templer. Jim DeVito, the winning trainer. Alexi Centeno, the winning rider. Today's first race is official running time 105.22. The $1 exacta 6.2, $9.90. The 50-cent trifecta 625, $15.20. The 20-cent superfecta 6253, $28.22. Today's second race has Win Play Show exacta trifecta superfecta. This race starts another daily double, another pick 3. Today's 50-cent early pick 4. Here are the changes in the early pick 4 races. Today's second race, no jockey changes, scratch or avoids, no changes in race 2. Third race, scratch 2 Draftsman. Fourth race, scratch 3 Boise and scratch 6 Metal of Fact. Fifth race starts a late pick 5, no changes. Post time in 22 minutes at 2:42. 22 minutes to wager on the early pick 4 in all cases. Make your selections early. Thank you.